Hello and welcome to the Box Score Network YouTube channel. I am Simon Shortt of the Simon and Friends podcast, part of the Box Score Network. He is Ben Parker, host of the Pro Football Enterprises YouTube channel, part of the Box Score Network. Thank you all so much for being here. If you quickly want to check out and just know a little bit more about Box Score, here we are. These are all of our shows. If you're here watching on YouTube on this channel, though, you might know by now, this is our 2026 NFL Draft Hub. This is where all of our hosts and friends alike are going to come give you draft content from now until April's draft. But these are the collection of podcasts associated with Box Score Network that you can go to. In the Flash, your college football podcast. Tricky Takes is back on NFL now. They do NFL and baseball, so be on the lookout for that. Two Piece on the Pod does a little bit of everything, but especially NFL, fantasy. You'll get some NBA stuff from them too if you're checking out the NBA season. And there's me and Ben, Simon and Friends of Pro Football Enterprises. But you're here on Box
And
Score
we're here to
Network.
talk NFL draft.
And Ben, it's time to do that with our very first mock of the season. We held off a really long time for us, man. We did a really
We
good
did.
job, I think. But it's time to get cracking with our mock. I don't have a preamble for you. I usually have a preamble. I usually do that on my show. We're not going to do that here. Let's pull up the draft board. Okay. Here it is. Box Score Network Mock Draft 1.0. This is obviously, so we took this draft order as it was after Monday Night Football this past week. So that would have been week 14, I believe. I think week 15 just kicked off with that Seattle and Rams game. I might have even been smart and thought ahead to switch Seattle and the Rams at like picks 30 and 31 based on the result of Thursday Night Football. I don't know, man. It's almost Christmas time. I'm in a stupor. So, anyways, those are the only ones that are up for debate as we're in between weeks here. But let's start off, Ben. The New York Giants. You have the NFC teams. I have the AFC teams. Um, you have the Giants at one, and I guess here's that my fake preamble that I would have liked to have done. Um, if the Giants were to sit and pick here at one, which it seems unlikely to happen, we don't even know if they'll have one, obviously. If they were to sit and pick here at one, w would you entertain the idea of moving on from Jackson Dart, taking a quarterback? You're bringing in a new head coach. Like, is this new head coach going to think anything else? Would you entertain that at all? Or if you're the GM of the Giants, if you're Joe Shane, do you say, Dart is our quarterback, you're coming in at one, and we're expecting a king's ransom for the first pick?
I don't even entertain it, and I even with that I still have my questions about Jackson Dart's long term effectiveness as a passer on the high end. I mean, but dang it, you can't move on from this guy. The leadership skills are out the wazoo. The stick your face in a fan, as you mentioned a year ago, is all the way up at the top. New York City loves this guy. You can't even begin to entertain any thought, and he's plenty good as a passer. All right, the arm strength is there. There's plenty to work with. So no, there's no chance I'm thinking about moving on from Jackson Dart.
Stick his face in fan, more like a wood chipper for that guy. He'll just go helicopter turbine, whatever he's doing. He's going through anything. With that said, we do have a trade. We do have a trade here at first
Yeah.
overall. You received a number of offers for the first overall pick, but at the end of the
Yes.
day, I think we all know the New York Jets have the most in their bag that they can offer. Whether or
Yeah.
not they choose to do it, we'll see. But we went ahead and completed the trade with the Jets and the Giants, the two New York teams are swapping that first pick. And I'm going to be taking Fernando Mendoza with that first overall pick, quarterback out of Indiana. You and I talked about it. It's on this channel somewhere, but it's also on my feed, the Simon Shortt channel, Simon and Friends podcast, where you can go and hear me and Ben check back in on the quarterbacks just a couple weeks ago for the draft. But Mendoza hits all the things that you want from a first overall pick
Yeah.
quarterback. He's got the arm talent. He's got just enough mobility. He's got the size. He's got the um, experience. He's played well as a transfer coming to a bigger program here at Indiana. Everything that you're looking for, he's expecting. He's hitting all the marks for you. So I don't think this is a surprise for anybody. QB one, number one overall player in the draft, going with Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana.
Yeah,
Do you
and I,
have
and I
any
like it.
reaction to that pick?
I'm in favor of it. Do I truly think Mendoza is a franchise savior, Hall of Fame level guy? Not really, but boy, I'm all in favor of the Jets moving up and getting Mendoza here, or another team doing the same thing.
Yeah, a couple other teams we explored were obviously the Browns, potentially moving up. They have the extra pick in this year's draft as well as the Jets. The Raiders maybe trying to make a small move, just get from two to one if they really
Right,
preferred Mendoza.
right.
We also talked about the Cardinals potentially coming up from six. But the Jets just having all those extra picks. I think the trade package that we actually ended up settling on was pick 5, pick 18, and the best of, get this, Ben, the Jets, Colts, Packers, and Cowboys first round picks in 2027 because they have their own pick. They have the Colts pick from the Sauce Gardner trade, and then they're getting the best
Right.
of the Cowboys and Packers pick via the Quinn Williams trade. So they're going to have 3 picks in next year's draft just in the first round alone. So they have plenty of ammo to work with. They can make this move and still have first round picks to spare to continue to build around
Yeah.
their team. But Fernando Mendoza is the pick. And I'm going to go ahead and update you, Ben, because now with that trade, I have a string of AFC teams picking here early. And I'm just going to go ahead and update everybody on the Las Vegas Raiders are also taking quarterback Dante Moore out of Oregon. We talked about Moore as well. I think he hits a lot of the same things that Mendoza does. The Oregon offense is just limited in scope and what they do and what they ask of their quarterback. So you don't quite see all the things that you get to see Mendoza do at Indiana. But we know he's got the arm strength. We know he's got poise in the pocket. We know he has good mobility, probably even better than he's showing at Oregon. Good enough size. His weight's a little lighter than his frame looks, so I think he can probably build that out and just be a little sturdier. But I like everything I see from Dante Moore, and I think there's more in there. We just haven't gotten to see it yet. So Dante Moore, QB2, player 2 overall in the draft here for me in the mock draft. What do you think about this pick?
So I'm not as high on Dante Moore, but still, you and I talked about this in a different show last week. There's a lot to work with there. He certainly has all the talent base and that you would need to at least start the idea of a franchise quarterback, right? And listen, we've seen other guys who I had leadership questions about and still do. We've seen them still be serviceable at league level. Okay, you just get with the right coordinator. So no, I really have no problem with this either. Team that needs a quarterback.
The Raiders listened to some offers, considered some offers, but at the end of the day, they need a quarterback right now. They have a running back and a tight end that are first round picks, kind of that are really good, and you're just like begging to get some kind of offensive production while you have those guys cheap because you don't want to have expensive tight end and running back without a quarterback. Obviously, the coach situation is in flux. We'll see what ends up happening, but Dante Moore is going to be the pick and hopefully right that ship right away. Now, Ben, the Tennessee Titans are up next. They have the third overall pick, right? Um, I'm here to tell you that that pick has been traded as well.
Oh yeah,
The
baby.
the Titans obviously have their quarterback, so even if they're first overall, we expect a trade to happen. But even here at 3, they just need talent. Tennessee does, right? They need a lot of stuff. And there's a team that's already been eliminated from the playoffs that really would not like to ever be eliminated from the playoffs again, I'd say, in their quarterback's next 10 years of his career. So there's a big swing happening here. You might have heard me say this elsewhere. I might have said it to you offline, but I did not officially tell you that this trade was happening. And it's the Kansas City Chiefs are trading up to the third overall pick. They're trading the 12th overall pick, their second round pick in this year's draft, and their first round pick in next year's draft to go get Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Now you watch
Wow.
the Chiefs. You watch the Chiefs. And I just said this on my podcast with Peyton. So head over to my channel, head over Apple, Spotify, Simon and Friends podcast. We watch them in this chapter of the Mahomes, Andy Reid era piece together this wide receiver room, right? In like
Yeah.
ways that made sense. And functionally, even this year, we saw it play out well on the field. Okay, Tyquan Thornton's going deep. Rushy Rice, when he's healthy, is your catch short, run long, but he can do a little bit more stuff than that. Xavier Worthy's doing all your crosser routes. They have guys that are filling roles, but that stopped working this year, right? When you've got a bunch of role players out there, it eventually will stop working, whether it's because the tackles can't hold up anymore, or it's because Mahomes is running for his life because there's not a run game, whatever it is. So the Chiefs need to make some kind of splash to infuse some real oomph in this offense. And right now, it's still early, it's December. I think Carnell Tate does that best out of all of these pass catchers. You get him working on the outside with his physicality. He's good at the 50-50 balls, jump balls. He's got really good speed. He's been working more over the middle of the field this year. I already got some guys that can do that though, so I'm not so worried about that. But I need a guy that can be a legitimate physical go get you one. Tyquan Thornton is nice. He's kind of like an MVS, right? When he was with the Packers, like he can get open downfield and he can track the ball downfield, but he's not going and winning tough routes, right? That's not what his game is. I think Carnell Tate can do that. And I just don't want to sit at 12 and just wait on wide receiver four and just like kind of add to the room again. I feel like I've done that. So I need an infusion in this offense to not only get this unit, get this team back to the explosiveness of years past, but also I don't want Mahomes to scramble as much as he did this year. Because ultimately that's probably what led to the knee injuries. So I would rather just keep Mahomes in the pocket more, give him someone he can really go to, and let's mix it up. Go Cardinal Tate here at three.
So in my heart of hearts, I'm an offensive line guy, right? And you are too.
Oh
I
yeah.
was hoping you were going to do the trade up because I heard you mention this on the show with Peyton, right? I was hoping you were going to do this for either Spencer Fano or Francis Malagoa and continue to do that Chiefs offensive line thing. But that aside, this is a good move too. I've encouraged Kansas City for years here to not quite flatten out the roster so much. Every once in a while, once every 3 or 4 years, it's okay to move up and grab it. An unusually talented guy you wouldn't usually get. I feel like Carnell Tate is that guy, So I'm happy with the move. I do think that's going to help upgrade the offense. And we've seen, over in Cincinnati where the offensive line sucks. If you just got some really good physical, tall receivers who also have some speed, what that can do for your offense, you can still have a really explosive offense, even if the offensive line isn't getting it done. So there's no reason Kansas City can't do the same thing. So yeah, I have no problem with his approach. I like the move up, the aggression in a season which you were bad, right? Kansas City not they've been bad lately, right? So yeah, I actually like this move too. Really like this move.
All right, picking number four. Ben's just sitting on his hands right now. Is me again with the Cleveland Browns, and you just mentioned his name, Ben. It's Spencer Fano, tackle out of Utah. It's time for
Yeah.
Cleveland to reinvest in the offensive line. Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller, Joel Bitonio are all free agents. Conklin, especially, like Bitonio and Teller, like they could bring back, but I like those guys might retire. Those guys might get a
Mm-hmm.
big 1 year deal somewhere else. Those guys might just be done playing in Cleveland. Um,
Right.
Conklin has been hurt the last few years, so I don't know what his future is going to be. Um, Jedrick Rolls obviously didn't work out as kind of that one young piece. Ethan Posich, the center, who's worked out well the last few years, towards Achilles this season. They just need to reinvest in the offensive line. And sitting here at four, the Browns didn't get the move up for the quarterback they wanted. They made an offer for one. They made an offer for two. They weren't getting them. Instead of taking a Ty Simpson or someone else at four, and just kind of settling, I'm just gonna roll with Shadur. I have Dylan Gabriel still kind of in the mix. Maybe I can take one of these quarterbacks day two. That might be interesting just to compete. But it's time to reinvest in the offensive line. So I'm taking Spencer Fano at four, putting him at right tackle, starting him right away.
You and I both love Fano. A lot of people do. That's not a big industry secret. Cleveland could use help in a lot of areas, especially considering all the cap stuff that they're now trying to filter through, and then the age stuff that they're trying to filter through. But the age is especially difficult on the offensive line. So I really like this pick for Cleveland as well. It's going to take them more than one off season to get that offensive line back right again,
Yes.
but you
Hmm.
got to start somewhere. This is a great place to start.
All right, so now you get a string of picks here, Ben. You're picking, I think, from like five through eight here. You get the next four. So you have the New York Giants coming off of that trade with the Jets from one to five. What are you thinking here for the New York Football Giants?
The Giants would have been happy with several players here, but Caleb Downs still sitting here. We're going to go ahead and grab him. Okay, so safety out of Ohio State. Um, the secondary, they added a couple of guys last offseason. It hasn't worked out. You can always question, well, if you add talent and athleticism and it doesn't work out, doesn't that fall back on the defensive coordinator? That's perfectly fine to say. But I can't resist adding Caleb Downs to what I think is a good set of linebackers and also plenty of guys that can get after the quarterback, right? So, I would love to add Caleb Downs here. I was tempted by offensive line here for the Giants, of course, but we're going to keep attacking the strength here, building the strength, and that is, let's add Caleb Downs on top of that front seven that I like.
Had Fano been there, would you have taken Fano over Downs, or would you take Downs still?
I would have been very tempted, but ultimately I probably would have picked Downs here as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Downs obviously sticks out as a safety. Like, okay, how high do you draft a safety? But that front is so talented that you kind of do just have to bank on if you're the Giants. Hey, when a new DC comes in, we're going to make sure or even head coach, if it's a defensive minded guy, we're going to make sure that they can take this talent that we are still going to have on this roster and get this to be a good defense. This should have been a good defense this year. It obviously was not. Um, so you're going to bank on that, and you're going to help them out in the front a little bit. You're going to say, hey, we're not adding new players, but we'll give you a new coach, and we'll put a superstar safety back there to kind of help out. So I like that pick. How about Arizona? What are you going to do for the Cardinals at 6?
All right. So for me, Arizona is tough, and I probably no matter what pick I make here, I'm probably going to I'm probably going to look back and say, well, I should have done this or that. All right. They've got several different guys here, but let me just rattle off a pick here, and then we'll move on for tonight's sake. So ultimately, Jordan Tyson is the guy I'm really wanting to grab. Go ahead and grab here for Arizona. They have other needs, but he's sitting right there in state. You've seen what he can do. Tyson's a heck of a receiver. Marvin Harrison, unfortunately, hasn't shown the top end yet, but even if he does, I have no problem with him and Tyson being on the field and showing what they can do together. Had there been, had Dante Moore been sitting here, and I'm sorry if I'm stealing your producer questions ahead of time. Had Dante Moore been sitting here, we probably would have gone ahead and grabbed him because my number one desire really for Arizona is a quarterback. But obviously he's not, and I really don't expect him to be, and I really don't want to do the trade up for that. So we're going to go ahead and grab Jordan Tyson here out of Arizona State and really continue to add to that receiver room.
That's fun, man. That's fun. And so if you couldn't get the quarterback, and obviously this isn't a big Kyler Murray show, so we won't get open that can of worms here. But you would think either way, whatever happens with your quarterback situation, whether you are stuck trying to make it work with Kyler for one more season, or
Yeah.
you've moved off of him, but you're not in a great scenario either. Having three potentially good wide receivers is a good thing. But again, you don't know if you even have that because you don't know what Marvin Harrison Jr. is. So instead of waiting for year 3 to hope there's a big turnaround, go ahead and get a guy now, like you said, in state. Try to help out that offense because you've invested in that defense. So like, there's not much more that you need to do right now. Go add to the offense with the best player available. Don't worry about position because in theory, Marvin Harrison is going to be good. I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, you have the New Orleans Saints next, Ben. Your pet team. What are you gonna do? You have your pet teams like back to back here, 7, 8. So what are you gonna do with the Saints at 7?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm the Saints GM, and I would love to be, by the way. So if y'all need help, if you move the family out, call me. I'm up for it. I'm happy here. I've got my pick between two guys I like, Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain. And as we continue to try to just remake the defense, it's not a bad defense. It's not a bad offense, really. I mean, they've got plenty of things to work with on both sides. Defense is ahead of the offense right now, I feel like, in terms of actual personnel that I like. But with Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, I'm happy either way. I really, truly am. Ultimately, I don't want to pass up on Arvell Reese. Ruben Bain is the bigger need. Okay, it really is for the Saints, but I just don't want to pass up on Arvell Reese. I like him too good, so I'd love to have him really come in and be the strength. I would love to get this front seven here for the Saints just turn into a mean screwball of a defense, especially in this division. I think that would help me out a lot. It would remind me of some of the stuff they used to do decades ago. And I would really love to bring some of that back. I think Reese or Bain, either one accomplishes that, but give me Arvell Reese.
And Arvell Reese obviously has the added benefit of like some off-ball linebacker potential. Depends how people are gonna use him, but with the it's Demario Davis, the veteran linebacker that's there, right? I'm pretty
Yes.
sure he's a free agent. So like if you're ready to move on and you're ready to let that go, and as some of these other guys kind of age out, you get a young, versatile, splashy player like Arvell Reese. I think that's a good move. Washington here at 8 is up next, Ben. So let's also do a quick plug for Ben, Box Score Network, Pro Football Enterprises. That's his YouTube channel. He has a weekly NFL show where he goes over a bunch of different NFL topics. He also has a weekly Commander show with Robertson Vire. So make sure you check that out as well. If you're a Commanders fan, you're sitting on the edge of your seat for this pick, and you need more Commanders content in your life, go to Pro Football Enterprises, hit subscribe, and you will get Commanders content every single week from Ben. All right, Ben, hit us up here. What are you doing at 8?
Robertson and I both have fairly quickly decided as the Commander season went sideways that if we got to pick this high, we'd probably love to just cash it in and trade back if we can. And you know me, I'm not a big trade back kind of a guy. I think too many people suggest it, and that kind of deflates the whole freaking market because somebody's got to trade up every time somebody trades back. But in this case, the Commanders, I feel like we have a quarterback. I feel like we have guys to throw to. I feel like our offensive line has been upgraded over the past offseason or two. Man, there's so many defensive holes. Goodness gracious, at every level. So we'd love to trade back, and that's what we've done. We've gone ahead and worked out a trade. And Simon, I'll let you remind everybody the details of the trade.
It's hilarious. I'm reminding myself because I forgot that happened. Yes, I have the trade right here. And man, I just did that plug. And then the Commanders fans, I don't know, maybe most of them share yours or Robertson's views, but if they're like, I wanted a pick here, now I'm ticked.
They
You're really
might.
gonna hate where this trade ended up because the Commanders have traded the eighth overall pick to the Dallas Cowboys for the
Yeah, baby.
14th overall pick, a fourth round pick this year, and a second round pick next year. Um, copious booze, copious booze are flooding the green room right now. It is a mess out there for the Washington Commanders. But that is it. They have made the trade. It has happened. Everybody, I've updated the board, and there's that Dallas Cowboy star right there for everybody to see at 8. So Ben, now that I set everybody up, who are the Dallas Cowboys taking with the eighth overall pick? You were very excited for the Cowboys to move up into the top 10. We were talking offline about this. So what do you got going?
The Cowboys really would have their eyes on two or three guys here, and two of them are still here. But Ruben Bain's still sitting here. We're going to
Yeah.
go ahead and grab him from Miami. He's not Micah Parsons. He plays a totally different game. Goodness gracious, but that's okay. You know, without Micah Parsons, we are building a different way. And so Ruben Bain comes in. He can play edge. You can move him to defensive tackle some on certain downs if you need to. Certainly love the power, the explosiveness. Has good speed off the edge. Plays violently. I think all of that would fit beautifully with this Dallas Cowboys defense. And we're going to add Ruben Bain very quickly and be fairly glad to do it, all things considered, with the trade.
All right, so there's our top 8. Mendoza and Moore go 1-2 to the Jets Raiders. The Jets moved up with the Giants, who went down to 5. They took Caleb Downs. The Chiefs made the explosive move up from 12 to 3 in a totally not overreaction to missing the playoffs to get the wide receiver. The Browns take Spencer Fano, the right tackle. Jordan Tyson to the Cardinals at 6. Arvell Reese to the Saints at 7. And then Dallas moves up to 8 to get Ruben Bay. Now, the Dallas thing is super interesting, right? Because they make the Parsons trade. They get all these assets back. They're able to go trade for Quentin Williams with some of those assets, and then they're able to trade up in the draft a little bit and get Ruben Bain. So if they came out of this and they were like, we, essentially got Bain and Williams and a couple other things for Parsons when it's all said and done, Kenny Clark, a couple other things. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they'll feel okay about it. Maybe Bane becomes a guy. I think we both like Bane, but to your point, not Parsons, not quite a 12
No.
plus sack, 14 plus sack a season guy. And I know the
Mm-mm.
arm length is a concern for some people. But dude, Bane and Ezeraku as an edge pair for a few years here, man, you get Ezeraku who's like smaller, but his arms are like filthy long, and he's the master of like the moves, right? And then you get Bane who's just like a bulldozer, run through you, um, built like a truck with shorter. I think that's fun, man. I would enjoy that.
I'd be tempted to just sit at 14 and draft David Bailey, but I really don't want Bailey and Ezra on the field at the same time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's skip that. Let's go get the bigger edge to pair, like you said, with Ezra.
Yeah, I like that. All right, at 9 is the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm taking Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson. There's not a lot need to know here, right? The Bengals just need defense. I think Peter Woods is the best defensive player on the board here. Um, I had 4 guys highlighted for the Bengals here, and 3 of the 4 went in the last 5 picks, which I knew I was risking, right? I thought about trading
Right.
up for Cincy a little bit because I knew I wanted one of these guys. Tyson was the one that threw me off. I didn't see Tyson coming. I thought you were going another way. So we'll see if you do that at 10. But Peter Woods is my pick for Cincinnati. Try to beef up that interior, stop the run a little, get after the quarterback a little, but just need talent on defense more than any one specific kind of thing. Just like get good players.
Yeah, I love. You could have made any defensive pick for Cincinnati, and I would have been happy with it. This really seems to fit right up the middle, and they can continue to add later in the draft and next year's draft. They can continue to add the speed elsewhere on the defense that they will need at some point.
All right, you're up with the Rams at 10. This is the pick via the Atlanta Falcons. So, Ben, what are you going to do here for the LA Rams?
Yeah, I'm going defensive back here, which is odd because the Rams don't usually draft this high,
No.
right? The Rams
Hmm.
don't always keep their first round picks, and the Rams don't seem to care a whole lot about drafting defensive backs
Nope.
either. So
Nope.
I'm going to break a bunch of trends here with the Rams, but that's okay. I'm going to pick Jermod McCoy. This is risky business because of how much time he missed, right? But let's assume that he passes all his physicals. Let's assume that he looks good. This guy is right up Sean McVay's alley in terms of the way he plays and dang it, I mean just the physicality and all of that. So this would be a perfect style fit for the Rams. Mansour Delane is probably a more safer pick, and I really do like Delane as well. But Jermon McCoy, the physicality that he plays with and the closing speed that he plays with, I like it here for the Rams. So that's what we're gonna do. Jermon McCoy to the Rams.
I like that. And your point on like the trends, right? They're not up at this part of the draft very often, and they hardly ever
Nope.
draft cornerbacks to their degree of high. I wonder if this
Right.
is like some sort of strategy they have where, and you and I talked about this on the show last time on the Simon and Friends podcast, where we talked about the legitimacy of drafting corners and safeties high up.
Yeah.
Like, do you need to do it?
Yeah.
And your point was like, oh, go get a number one if you can get a number one, but like, don't get a guy just to get a guy. So like, this isn't drafting Deontay Banks or Emmanuel Forbes, right, as cornerback 3 or 4. Hey,
Right.
cornerback 1, and you can only usually get those guys in the top 10. Oh, well, we'll do. Maybe that's what Snead and McVay are thinking. Oh, we'll do that. We'll make that investment. We'll go heavy there if we're getting that kind of guy. Maybe they just never had that opportunity before. So I like that. Jamal McCoy, it's certainly the position of need, and maybe theoretically, I think I could see that working out. All right, I made my next pick as well here. The Miami Dolphins are at 11. I don't know if anybody heard they benched their $200 million quarterback. Quinn Ewers is starting. Zach Wilson is the backup. Let's add another small white guy to the mix. Ty Simpson was going to be the quarterback, coming from Alabama, going to Miami. Um, I think we both kind of feel this. This is where Simpson, can start being a discussion point, right? You need a quarterback. You don't have a lot of outs. It's the most important position in football. Um, you could take a guy here if you really need it. And here's the thing: the rest of Miami's roster, like, not awful. Not they got some guys on defense. They got Jalen Waddle. They've got some running backs. Got a little bit on the offensive line more than they have in the past, right? So like, and without like a slam dunk, like maybe there's Miami fans out there right now that are screaming at me that there's a like really good offensive lineman at Miami right now. Maybe that's what you're thinking and what you thought I was gonna do. But like, what's this team's route to a quarterback next year, right? They're not saving any money
Yeah.
in the quarterback room right now to help themselves go do something. And then like, what's Mac Jones in this offense going to do anyways? Even if you do that, and even so, you'd have to trade a pick to get him. So I'm gonna go hit the easy button here and get a quarterback. You can keep Tua for another year, just pay him, and do whatever, or you can bite the bullet, get him out of the room, but still have a large amount of your cap allocated to that room. But I'm getting a first round quarterback who has had his ups and downs this season. But I think if he decides to come out and a good team with a good offensive mind, like we're assuming Mike McDaniel's maybe staying in this scenario, I think you go ahead and take the quarterback here.
I actually would not be surprised if Miami were to do something like this, and that is if they keep Mike McDaniel as head coach. Now, if they fire him and they're kind of hitting reset, they may just draft best player available and not worry too much about quarterback during this offseason, right? But if McDaniel is getting to stick around, he's not going to want to head into next year with Tua as his only option, and he's not going to want to wait a year to replace that, right? So even if Tua is still on the team, even if Quinn Ewers looks halfway decent, do not be surprised if they don't draft another quarterback to come in here. I feel like if McDaniel's there, that's the case.
All right, next pick here is me. Because remember the Tennessee Titans traded back and they're at 12 now. And this is where I'm taking the offensive lineman, Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. I actually wasn't gonna make this pick. This is not the direction I was gonna go for Tennessee here. They need a lot of stuff,
Yeah,
and I really
yeah.
feel like on the offensive line, like listen, they paid Dan Moore and he's been hurt. Skoronski's a first round pick. Latham's a first round pick. Um, they have Cushenberry signed, right? But he's been on and off with injuries. Zeitler is a free agent at the end of the year. But you're like, I've put a lot in that with a couple first round picks and a big money tackle. I kind of want to see what a fresh set of eyes can do with the group I have, because on paper it's a good group. But at the same time, man, like again, like one of my starters is legitimately a free agent. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Latham has still been up and down playing right tackle this year. Part of that's been injuries, but again, if he's partly dealing with injuries a lot already, I don't love that. And my center's been dealing with injuries. I was thinking of going wide receiver here because they have some talented young receivers that just keep dropping the ball in Tennessee. But it ultimately came down to who am I more likely to find as a solid infusion of talent on day two, a wide receiver and offensive lineman? The answer is always going to be a wide receiver. Um, there aren't very many high value offensive linemen in this year's draft. I'm going to get one of the few of them here at 12. And wherever he ends up having to play, I'll probably start him off at right guard. But if Latham is having some issues still, maybe I'll kick him out to right tackle at some point. And who knows, maybe this is our next tackle conversion to center if Cushenberry, doesn't last too much longer. So I'm going with the offensive lineman here for Tennessee.
You mentioned that Tennessee's got a ton of needs in several different places, so I would applaud almost any pick you made, and I applaud this one. I really like this. I like what this guy can do. I'm not. I listen. I still think he can play tackle at the NFL level, the right tackle. I mean, not the left tackle. But if he doesn't, then yeah, you start moving him inside. This guy should be an excellent player at the NFL level wherever he ends up. It may take him a season or so to figure out where that is, but wherever his spot truly is, his best fit, should be just a tremendous player here at the NFL level. I feel like for a very long time to come.
All right. So Tennessee makes that pick for the offensive lineman. Ben, you are up next with Minnesota at 13. What are you going to do here?
Minnesota's got two or three guys we would be very happy with, but the one I really feel like our need is going to hit here is Mansour Delane, cornerback from LSU. So that's the one we're going to take. Uh, we are not bereft of talent in the secondary. We just don't have enough of it. So having more cover guys would really help us out. Um, whether or not Brian Flores stays, which of course we're hoping he does as defensive coordinator, he would love to have more cover guys. But even if he gets a head coaching job somewhere and, we bring in another defensive coordinator, we still need more cover guys. Delane really fits that. We like his mirroring ability. We like his speed. We like his athleticism. So Mansour Delane coming in for Minnesota.
All right, Mansour Delane. Always love when the colors can match up as well. He gets to keep wearing that
Yes.
purple and gold. That's beautiful. We love that over here on the Box Score Network. Ben, I guess I should actually give some real analysis here. Yeah, I mean, another team that just like on paper needs corner every year, and from a schematic and philosophical mindset, it seems like they're like, we'll just piecemeal that together. But if you're up here at 13, you've made all these other investments to help your offense. Like, why not go get a really good player here? That makes sense to me. Um, all right, Ben, we're at 14, Washington. Hey, man, you guys have been holding on. You guys have been waiting. You moved down from 8 to 14. You watched Dallas take an edge rusher who a couple months ago was like number one on all the big boards. I'm sure you feel good about that. Ben, are the Commanders going to feel good here at 14?
Heck yeah, we are. We're trading the pick.
Oh, how far back? Like one spot, two spots, two
No, it's a little bit
spots.
more than that. We're picking a team that is actually going against type. This team that is trading up would never do this. Okay, but I'm telling them that they should, just like you told the Chiefs that they should move all the way up to 3 to get a guy. Okay, so this team I'm about to announce here, they are moving up against type, and it's going to be the 49ers trading up here to this 14 spot where the Commanders currently sit.
Okay, the 49ers, they can't be that far down the board though, right? Like Washington, like what, like six spots? Seven spots? Good.
Yeah, keep looking. Yeah, good
Wait,
luck
wait,
finding
wait,
them.
wait. 27, Ben. Commanders are going to 27? Oh
You
my
got it, buddy.
gosh. Commanders fans, I apologize, man. I set you up. I made you think everything was good. You were looking at the board. You were like, man, that Peter Woods is there. Oh man, oh, Ruben Bain is there. Oh my gosh, there's some dudes on defense still. Oh, there's some corners. Okay, we could do something with this. We could do send you down to 27, man. You might as well throw that thing for a second round pick and just reap the benefits in the future. All right, so Ben,
So
what are the
real quick
49ers
before I
thinking
touch
here?
on the 49ers,
Okay.
educated Commanders fans, which is most of them. I mean, hey, listen, NFL fans know their teams. They know their they know why we're doing this. I'll explain it more later. There's a lot of really obvious reasons, but let's get on to the 49ers here. I actually have two guys that I think the 49ers should trade for to move up to this spot that would not be there later. But the one we're going to pick is Sonny Styles, linebacker from Ohio
Oh,
State. 49ers 49ers have holes all over the defense, no secret. We need to get Robert Saleh some more tools in the box here. Sonny Styles will do that. Let's just start with the athleticism. Okay, the athleticism is tremendous, but the coverage skills, especially the zone coverage skills, the intelligence, the ability to start at the line of scrimmage, and by the end of the snap, I'm sorry, I know I did something right here. So by the end of the snap, to move to second level and third level, all while having his face turned toward the quarterback. The cleanup guy, his ability to clean up, it doesn't stop. It just doesn't end. So anyway, Sonny Styles is who the 49ers were happy to trade up for. I'm
I knew
sorry.
he wasn't getting a 20. Um, but it still hurts all the same.
Yeah,
Um, it's really annoying that the 49ers are gonna have like they created this perfect mold of a linebacker where it's like get a 6'4" guy who was like 230, 225 in college, but is gonna get to 250 at the NFL. And he played
right,
safety for his first couple years in college, so like he can run
right.
and he can cover and then he can hit and then he can also play. And then they just get the 2.0 version of him in Sunny Style. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really smart, Ben, and I hate you for it. I'm really upset. I've even seen some people do the popular thing with off-ball linebackers in the draft now because we can't just be off-ball linebackers anymore. God
right.
forbid that would happen. They're
No,
like, Sonny Styles could rush off the edge a little bit. I'm like, come on, man, don't take this away from me. Don't take
yeah.
6'5", 245 can cover and run and hit away from my dear heart. But okay, to the 49ers, that's a good pick. They need defensive talent. They need a guy that can get behind the line of scrimmage. They need a guy that can create some plays. And if that torch can get passed from Fred Warner to him, or you can have both those guys playing at kind of an apex level, say in 2 years, Styles 2 years into his career, Warner's a year off of the injury kind of thing. Um, that's a mean machine right there. Um, all right, the Baltimore Ravens. This is gonna hurt me, Ben. I'm hurting my Steelers' heart a lot tonight because Sonny Styles just gets picked. I obviously sent Spencer Fano, who's my favorite tackle in this year's draft, to Cleveland. Not that the Steelers were gonna be in the market for a tackle, but just like sending my favorite players in the draft to division rivals
Yeah.
is always a bummer. Um, this next one is gonna really send me into a spiral. Um, and it's the guard out of Penn State. Ola Ione is going to go to the
Mm.
Baltimore Ravens here. Um, and that was a guy I told you, Ben, when I first watched him, I absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
And the consensus at that
Yeah.
time, back at the beginning of the season, right before the college football season started, was like, yeah, like day two pick, like, yeah, he's a mauler, but like, don't know what. And he's rocketing up boards, man. He is like going in the
He
top
is.
20 now. And the rate, like, this would be such a Ravens pick. Like, they'll struggle at left guard for one season, and then they'll just get this guy who's going to be like a 10-year pro. He's just mean and nasty, and he'd be a perfect Steeler, which means he'll also be a perfect Raven. They'll take him just a few picks before the
Oh yeah.
Steelers get in there. Ione just like is a beast in the run game. He can move. He has a great anchor. Like he can get beat with speed a little bit, but a lot of these guards can. But I trust his IQ. I trust
Yeah.
his hands. I trust the way he mirrors his hands and feet to handle the speed. And listen, AFC North football, he's not going to be too worried about. That's going to be third, fourth on the list. Where first is going to be just creating a tight pocket for Lamar, and second's going to be getting some push in the run game, and he can do those things. So they'll struggle at left guard for one season with Andrew Voorhees, and then they'll fix it right away with Ione.
We talked months ago about Ione and my concerns about him as a pass blocker, but the talent is all there, and he's added another year of experience, and he looks better at pass blocking already. And then you mentioned, yeah, this is a totally great Ravens pick. absolutely love it here. I haven't even gone back to do my deep dive on Ione, so I don't even quite know where I would truly slot him. I have no problem with this pick at all, man. The talent base is there. He already looked better this year.
All right, you've got the Panthers at 16, Ben. I have a feeling I know where you're going with this. What are you doing with Carolina?
Yeah, the Panthers are very happy here that to us a guy fell is what we feel like. So it's going to be Keldrick Falk,
Yep.
defensive end out of Auburn. We actually have several needs on defense, man. Defensive end, defensive tackle, secondary, linebacker, you name it, we could use it. So almost any defensive player that falls here, we're just going to snatch him up, basically. Keldrick Falk is the guy that fell. We're very happy to have him. His size, his pass rushing ability, and you can even move him inside, and he works well against the run as a defensive
Yep.
tackle. So there's really nothing not to love here for Carolina and Keldrick Falk.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect pick. I'm a little wary of Falk just because of like last year's edge rushers, right? Like the big freaks with
Yes,
little production, right? Like I'm a little
yes,
gun shy about that. But getting them at 16, man, for like what they need to, because they drafted, Uman Milan and who's the Texas A&M guy that they got? Uh,
Scorton, yeah,
Scorton, thank you. They get those guys as like high floor, high energy, like tough dudes. But like Falk is so you're setting that floor, but Falk is the guy that could be like a real ceiling raiser, which is what they need from a pass rush standpoint. So I think this is a great pick, even for me as a guy who likes Falk, but like doesn't necessarily see like
right.
for sure slam dunk top tier edge rusher kind of dude.
No,
But this is the right pick here. Sonny Styles, I think this is also the floor for Styles. I think if he's there at 16, they would absolutely love that.
mm-hmm.
All
Agreed.
right, hit me with, let's see, what do we got next? I think you're up next, 17 with the Detroit Lions. So what are you gonna do here for Detroit?
Detroit Lions taking David Bailey, edger from Texas Tech here.
Yeah.
Hutchinson is still a tremendous football player, but he has not shown what everybody was hoping to see from him as far as tracking to be like the Watts and the Boses. He just has not shown that. Okay. When you're tracking sacks, it hasn't yet come about. So we'd love to produce more pressure on the quarterback. It's been a consistent problem, unfortunately. And maybe putting him on the other side of Hutchinson will unlock even more of what Hutchinson can do. So, this was an easy pick for us. We're not convinced he's a three down player, but he doesn't have to be. Just get on the flip side there and get after the quarterback. And if you can learn to do some other things, great.
All right, next up, you've got the New York Giants are back up at 18 after that trade with the Jets. So the Giants, with that fifth overall pick they had earlier, took safety Caleb Downs. What are they going to do here, Ben, with the pick at 18?
I'm going to do something that has risk involved with it. No, I'm not. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you what we're thinking here. All right, we were thinking Caden Proctor, offensive tackle from Alabama.
I thought you might.
It we're gonna cash that in and turn it into Caleb Lomu from Utah. Uh,
Ooh.
and listen, the very reason for that is there's no question who's got the most talent in this draft, or maybe most drafts. It's Proctor. You look at the size, the speed, the strength, the athleticism, the everything, and yet there are consistency concerns. There are leverage concerns, there are high pad concerns, so you don't really truly know what you're getting. And we've already seen with the New York Giants, when they get some of these guys, they tend to struggle to develop them, unfortunately. They've already brought in some of those guys over the past, say, 3, 4 seasons. So we're going to go with what we feel like is the safer pick with Caleb Lemieux, who does not have the high end ceiling that Proctor has at all. But that's okay. We do feel like he can work here on this Giants offensive line, which needs the boost. So that's going to be the pick here, Caleb Lemieux from Utah.
I like Lomu. He was a guy that when we did our O-line show, I think we actually ended up spending the most time on him because he's the most like ball of clay, I think, out of all of these guys. Play
Yeah.
strength needs to improve, but I love his technique. I love his tenacity. I love his athleticism. He's a guy that could end up going back to school. But I think if the Giants could get him here at 18 to maybe try to mold him, figure out what his best position is going to be. And even if like for a year while he's getting stronger, like he's just Andrew Thomas's backup. Like it's just like, hey man, you're gonna play, you're gonna be our swing tackle, and you're gonna be a high upside guy in case our number one guy goes down again, which is always likely to happen. So I like this pick. I really like Lomu.
The Lomo thing is
19.
interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. The Lomo thing is interesting because mid-season he was collapsing off the drafts. Now he's gone back
Yep.
up a lot of the mocks. So
Yep.
we still don't know what he's going to do. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. What do you got here at 19 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Listen, the Buccaneers could actually go in a lot of different directions. To be honest, it I want to draft Makai Lemon, dang it, but they just don't need another receiver right now.
Right.
It's really well, that's the truth. Um, Kenyon Sadiq is sitting right there. That's probably where we're going to go here. If some of these defensive guys had fallen, we would grab them. Um, but I think I like the Kenyon Sadiq thing, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do here. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. The athleticism is tremendous. Size is good. So, let's go ahead and add him into the mix here.
Sadiq is such an interesting case study, I think, and seeing what the tight ends from this year's draft and Ty Warren and Colson Loveland have done and what the discourse on them was early on and now the hype that's been around Sadiq all season, it's going to be really interesting, but he's definitely going to be one of those guys that needs to go to the right place. But I think Tampa, I, I can't speak to like what Grizzard is going to necessarily do for or with Sadiq. Um, but I mean, I think Baker is a great quarterback for him. I think that makes a lot of sense the way Baker can like move around and have a little bit of sleight of hand, right? I could see a lot of like tunnel screens and tight end screens and just getting the ball out quick to him. So I like this pick. I hope they move him around and use him as like a super H back more than just
Right.
put him in line. Like, and that's for wherever he goes. He's an interesting one, but I certainly like the upside.
I would encourage Tampa Bay to actually trade up for Sonny Styles. Now, I had the 49ers doing that, but
Hmm.
Sonny Styles would be the perfect piece for what has ailed that Buccaneers defense over the past 3 years now, really, and that is passing over the middle. Quarterbacks taking advantage of weak linebacker coverage skills. Sonny Styles would be perfect for that. I didn't do that. Instead, we just sat there, and out of what's left, it's starting to dry up a little bit for me at this point as far as that jealousy factor.
Hmm.
Kenyon Sadiq.
Well, Ben, you mentioned my pick, and I'm so glad you didn't make it because this is my saving grace for the Steelers here, and I am taking Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. Um, Roman Wilson is not getting a helmet in favor of Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Adam Thielen these days. So, like, I Roman has had a slow start to his career. He was hurt almost all of last season. Begins this year on the field as essentially wide receiver three in an Arthur Smith offense, which anyone knows is not really a productive place that you're going to be. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know what's going to happen with Calvin Austin III. Thielen's obviously done at the end of this year. MVS is I don't know what that is going to end up being. He has one catch and one touchdown in Pittsburgh so far. But Lemon is so much fun. He's an absolute stud in the blocking game, which Smith and the Steelers are gonna love. He is a really good like yak opportunity guy. He's a really like he can. I think he's gonna be more effective on the deep ball with a better quarterback play. But he's a perfect like finding the soft spots, intermediate of the field, crossing routes, just being like a real tough nose kind of player. And I think that's perfect. I could see him and DK being a really good 1-2 of the ilk of like Corey Davis, AJ Brown, just in terms of like the toughness, the blocking, the downfield ability. What those guys were doing in the heyday of the Arthur Smith Tennessee Titans offense, I think Lemon would be a perfect fit for that. So I love this pick in Mekhi Lemon to the Steelers here at 20.
Agreed. Love it. They need a wide receiver. Lemon's sitting right there. Why not?
All right, Philly at 21, Ben, what are you doing?
They were tempted by a couple of the edge rushers. We're just not happy enough with what those edge rushers are providing. That would be TJ Parker and Cassius Howell. So we're back over to receiver, honestly. And I'm going to pick a guy that isn't even my next favorite receiver, to be honest, but I do feel like he's a good fit for Philadelphia. So it's going to be Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington, who I do like. He is, again, he's not my next highest rated receiver on the board, but it's going to be Denzel Boston. If at some point Brown parts ways with the Eagles, it would be nice to have Boston with that size and physicality sitting right there. and smooth and got the NFL genes too. So Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington.
Yeah, Boston's a good fit for Philly. If you think about just what Jalen Hurts likes to do when he does throw the ball, right? Just be that deep outside the numbers kind of guy with that big body. And then if you can develop into more stuff outside of that, great. And if not, then I think he's a guy that certainly fits. Um, Next up for me, 22, Houston Texans. This shouldn't be a surprise. Caden Proctor out of Alabama. Like you said, we don't know if it's going to work out. We don't know if the production and on-field show is ever going to meet the um, potential. But Houston, despite the machinations of the offensive line they've settled on, which have helped them, still just need talent more than anything else overall right now. So bring in Proctor. Who knows, man? He could end up playing guard in the NFL for all I know. So whatever spot he's going to end up at, I just kind of want to bring him in and give him a little bit of experience everywhere. Maybe not even start him right away. But then again, they didn't I didn't want them to start Ariante Ursary right away either, and they did that. So let's bring in Proctor. Let's get a little bit of juice, a little bit of athleticism, and hey, you know what? Maybe he's a six offensive lineman eligible receiver kind of guy for his first year after however many catches and touchdowns he's got for Alabama right now. So maybe we could have some fun with that early on in his career. So Caden Proctor for me is going to be the pick at 22 to Houston.
I would stand up and applaud. I've got too many things set up here, but yes, I am mentally standing up, applauding this pick for the Houston Texans. Love it, love it, love it.
All right, you got Dallas at 23, Ben. What are you going to do?
Yeah, Dallas at 23 again. We basically got our pick up here of linebackers, wide receivers, etc. It would be C.J. Allen and Anthony Hill for me. I know people have kind of gotten a little cold on Anthony Hill. I feel like the market is still good enough on him to where he should be late first, early second. But we're going to actually pick up C.J. Allen from Georgia, the linebacker. I've really got an early second round grade on C.J. Allen, but that's okay. At some point, you kind of run out of first round talent to me. So we're bringing in C.J. Allen. That continues to go along with Ruben Bain, who we added. Of course, we're loaded at
Yeah.
defensive tackle now. If somebody was slipping in the secondary, we'd consider taking them, but those guys didn't slip, right? The
Yeah.
Jamad McCoys, the Mansour Lanes, the Caleb Downs, of course, wasn't going to slip. So none of those slipped. So that left us with linebackers who we really, really like, and bringing in C.J. Allen is really going to help out this defense. Continue to get stronger up the middle, but Bain on the edge too.
Yeah. Allen gives you the speed, the IQ, the tackling, the tenacity, a little bit of
Right,
coverage skills,
right.
but just more oomph, more juice on that defense, which the Cowboys certainly need. So I like that pick. I'm going with Katie McDonald, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State for the Buffalo Bills here at 24. Um, it continues to be the Bills' one bugaboo is the run defense right up the middle, and I think the best way to do that is to let's sit a 300 what 15 320 330 plus guy defensive tackle from Ohio State right there in the middle. Yeah, I can handle doing that. So Caden McDonald's going to come in for Buffalo. um I'm not taking the big swings with the edge rushers. I'm not screaming for the wide receiver too. The offense is what it is. I need to be able to stop the run in the playoffs. So Caden McDonald's the pick for Buffalo at 24.
Yeah, I listen.
um
I like that. I'm sorry, I was hunting my next team was why I had the delay,
Yeah,
but
you're good. You're good. We're in the dredges now.
McDonald coming in here, I really like that pick as well. That's perfect for Buffalo. They could really use that strength up the middle.
So there's that 17 to 24. Bailey Lomu, Sadiq, Lemon, Boston, Proctor, Allen, McDonald. I don't think I did a recap of 9 to 16. So there's that. Peter Woods, Jamal McCoy, Ty Simpson, Maligoa, Delane Styles, Ione, and Falk. And in case you forgot, Mendoza, Dante Moore, Cardinal Tate, Fano, Downs, Jordan Tyson, Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain is our 1 through 8. We had big trades with the Jets, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the 49ers. Here is our final 8 teams for the mock, starting with Chicago. And Ben, what are you going to do here?
We're taking Jeremiah Love, running back Notre Dame. So a couple of reasons here on this. I personally have Jeremiah Love. I've studied. I think I've watched every game he's played over the past year and a half, every single one, and I just cannot get enough of him. He's a top 10 talent. Now, people didn't need him in the top 10. That's totally fine, but he's a top 10 talent, and Ben Johnson will get to replicate a little bit of what he was already doing in Detroit, what he's already doing in Chicago with the run game. Listen, Swift and Monangai are fine, but they cannot touch what Jeremiah Love could potentially do. You just watch his smoothness, his acceleration, his vision. His vision is incredible. He has big playability. There's really nothing he can't do. He can catch the ball. I would love to add this in. If another strong defensive player were sitting here, we might grab them instead. They're not sitting here. So it's Jeremiah Love to Chicago.
I know there's Cassius Howell heads out there. Um, you could go with one of these big defensive tackles as well, but I think those guys you can replicate elsewhere. And I think right now you strike while the iron's hot. Your offensive line is playing really well, and you're liking the development you're seeing from some of the young guys on that line. You're liking the impact that the veterans that you made moves for this offseason are making. And it's not just taking a guess, right? Taking a guess would have been last year. You didn't know what Ben Johnson and
Yeah, yeah,
that Jonah Jackson and all Dahlman and Tooney. You didn't know what that was going to create from an opportunity standpoint in the run game. Now you know because Swift and Monangai are so effective. So now with that, and you're sitting here at 25, and you're like, dude, like, yeah, go. This is the right situation to do that, right? There's proof of concept. Now you're just adding like a Mario star to your running back room, and you can really unlock something and just continue to help Caleb Williams' development. That's the number one thing for Chicago right now. If they continue to do that, I think that's the right move. So I actually do like that pick with the Chicago Bears getting Jeremiah Love at 25. I have the Chargers here, and Ben, I'm just gonna kind of keep with this theme and talk about a team that's been needing some run stuffing defensive tackles for a while. Some we've been waiting for the Chargers to do. Um, they they need offensive linemen, but man, there's not one that I'm like screaming for them to get at this point. I would rather. Obviously, I want to get those tackles healthy, right? What are the odds that both those tackles are going to continue to be hurt in future years? Um, but let me continue to invest in this defense a little bit because we saw what happened when Khalil Mack went down. Like they just didn't have a lot of talent up front for those few weeks, and they were hurting. So we're gonna go and get Amori Washington out of Oregon. Give me one of them big ones. Just give me another big
right.
guy I can sit in the middle there. They've tried to piecemeal this defensive tackle thing for years. It has not worked out. So I'm gonna go make an investment here, lock that down a little bit, and I'll get back to offensive line later.
Yeah, agreed. I like this pick very much. The Chargers have really needed this long before Harbaugh ever got here, so this would really help them out a lot. Totally agree.
All right, you are up next with Washington. Washington finally gets to pick, Ben. What are you gonna gift the Commanders with in all these? What do we give them in total in these trades? They got a fourth, a second round pick next year. The trade with the 49ers, by the way, was a third this year and a second. So they get two extra seconds for next year, and then a third and a fourth this year, all to move back from 8 to 27. Commanders fans, you could tell us if you actually like that return. You know, if Ben's point is Commanders fans probably do think trade back is necessary. How do we feel about that? You're probably mad you didn't screw the Cowboys out of pick 23, but that's okay. It didn't work out this time. So 27, what are the Commanders going to do?
Commanders fans better like this for three good reasons. Number one, we're old as heck. I can't remember if we're the oldest, but we're one of the oldest teams in the
Yeah.
league. We have got to get younger so you get more good picks, not fifth rounders, more good picks to get younger. Our defense is awful. We have major gaping holes in the secondary, two or three of them. We have one starting caliber linebacker and no backups unless Bobby Wagner comes back. We have major gaping holes. We have no edge rush at all. I mean, none. And we don't really like our defensive tackles that much. Okay. So those are three
But
very
everything
good
else is okay.
reasons. Everything else is okay. Those are the reasons why these trade backs are perfect for what Washington needs to do. Collect those. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention it. We've lost several good draft picks with the trades we made for like
Yep.
the left tackle,
Laremy Tunsil
the wide
trade, Debo
receiver,
Samuel
uh,
trade.
the cornerback, Lattimore. Yes.
Yep.
So all that draft losses, we're just depleted
You
here.
need
We can't
picks.
get younger. We can't get more athletic. So we got to do this. I'm actually drafted Cassius Howell. Okay.
Ah, you son of a, I was gonna do that
Yeah,
next.
and I'm sorry. Listen, I have the same problem with Howell that I have with David Bailey.
Hmm.
Uh, Other than getting the quarterback, Howell is mediocre at a lot of other things. I don't like what I see when I watch him on tape, and I've already done the work on him. We just haven't produced it yet. But he can learn. He's got all the ability. Ability is not a problem. He'll just have to learn. But even if he doesn't, the Commanders need somebody who can get pressure on the quarterback. Just that pure, raw, unadulterated speed off the edge, the bend, the hands. He doesn't have his move. He doesn't have as many moves as David Bailey has, but that speed off the edge is incredible, and we gotta have that. And we'll leave him out there on the field most of the time and let him learn to do some of this other stuff. We got big bodies on the defensive line, so we're fine. We got to have that. So here it comes. Cassius Howell, come on over to the Commanders. We are more than glad to have you, and we'll just put up with it if you can't do some of the other stuff right away.
Um, I like this, and I just went back through the board and I looked again. And I was like, okay, at 8, Arvell Reese was off the board, right? So then you got Ruben Bain, who like outlier from an arm length perspective.
Right.
They do that trade with the 49ers, so they miss out on taking Keldrick Falk. They miss out on taking David Bailey, but they get Cassius Howell, who, for a lot of people, is like you said, right, right, the similar archetype to Bailey, and some people have them flip flop, some people have them right next to each other, and Falk is that more raw talent. So I think you could definitely argue that you acquired all these picks to get a guy that is at a position of need, and it's kind of just in the same realm from a potential and production standpoint as the other edge rushers that went in the spots that you traded from. And in a draft like this one, where it's not last year's draft, right? It's not like premium, all this stuff, like really good players over. There's a big consensus, like, yeah, like 12 to like 40 are going to be similarly graded people for a lot of scouts and evaluators. So I was giving you a hard time and messing with Commanders fans there, but I do think this actually does make a lot of sense. All right, I've got the Cleveland Browns here, Ben, at 28, and I'm a little torn on what to do. I think at the end of the day, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get a receiver here, and I'm gonna go with Kevin Concepcion from Texas A&M. Just get a guy that can do a little something with the ball in his hands, get a little bit of juice. Um, Try to help that offense a little bit. They've made some draft pick wide receivers that over the years that just like haven't given them what they needed. So let me try to get a talent in the offense. I thought about an offensive lineman, man, and I just couldn't swing it. Um, at this point. Maybe I'll come back to it a little bit later for them. Not tonight, obviously, but just in general. But let me get the wide receiver out of A&M here, Concepcion.
Really enjoy Concepcion. He's worth this first round pick. You can argue a lot about the order of these receivers in this class, right? I think there's a cluster of them. You could argue about what you like or the flavor. Concepcion is absolutely worthy of this pick. Cleveland could absolutely use it. This is no problem here at all with this pick right here.
All right. Next up is me with the New England Patriots. And this is where I'm like the Cassius Howell thing, man. This bummed me out because I this is where I wanted him for New England. They need a little juice. I talked about this on my show with Josh Limasan a few weeks ago. They just don't create splash on defense, right? Turn you overs is what I'm calling it, right? They don't turn the ball over and they don't turn over the quarterback and get after him. So I want one of these edge rushers here. We've done the work already on guys like TJ Parker, Mateo Uiagalelei, and LT Overton. I'm like, those are nice players. But again, that's not the swing that I'm really looking for. You know who everyone's talking about that I'm just going to go ahead and give here, and I haven't done a ton on him yet. I'm going to go R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. Now you
Yeah.
can fill me in on if you think this is a good pick or not, Ben, but just he feels in that realm of the Howell and the Bailey where I'm hoping for a little more upside, right? I'm banking on some more flashes that I'm seeing. Those other guys are nice players, and we've talked about them where like they show a little sometimes, but for the most part, it's like a run setting edge rusher who like can maybe get you 5 sacks a season. Like that's not what I need for the Patriots right now. I got those guys already. Let me try to take a swing here. So I'm going to go R. Mason Thomas at Oklahoma.
I really like it. Now, I was wanting a wide receiver or tight end, but all the difference makers I think are gone at this point. Patriots already kind of have a collection of guys to throw the football to, so I don't know that you necessarily upgrade with wide receiver or tight end at this point. I was even hoping for offensive line, but the offensive line difference makers are largely gone. I would think about Isaiah World at this point, but it feels like R. Mason Thomas would be the higher impact, explosive type potential here. So I actually prefer it. And I hadn't yet gotten to the point where I wanted to jump in on him because again I haven't done my true deep dive on R. Mason Thomas yet, but I was already thinking about him somewhere in this realm. Yes.
Yeah, a couple of these offensive linemen, and listen, Ben and I love offensive line. So if you haven't watched this before, we absolutely love it. So there's guys that are jumping, guys that we've already done the work on, and we're just even just iffy about that before I swing on those guys, like I don't want to be misinformed here. So if you're like Cleveland and you were looking at an interior guy, and if you're the Patriots and you're looking for a tackle, but I'm seeing these other guys jump, I'm gonna wait till I do the work on them. But I certainly see that Patriots right tackle, Browns could use an interior guy for sure. All right, you have the next two picks here. You have the Rams and the Seahawks. The let's just be honest, man. They were both winners, and we're all winners for what happened Thursday night. I don't even remember when the show was coming out, but Thursday night football game, Rams Seahawks was maybe the game of the year. You have these teams back to back to pick for. What are you going to do?
The Rams already added Jamad McCoy in this draft.
Yes,
Okay. Which is a little bit against type. We're going to do another thing that's a little bit against type, but I'm telling them they need to do some of this. Okay, so we're adding Anthony Hill, linebacker. Okay, Rams don't often always totally stress linebacker, right? It's just not that big of a deal to them. But you
nope.
got these first round picks. Anthony Hill sitting right there. There are some legitimate concerns about Anthony Hill overplaying and about maybe Anthony Hill, while he has plenty of explosiveness, maybe not being the as explosive as say a Arvell Reese or a CJ Allen or Sonny Styles. That's all fair. This is still a heck of a player, and don't let the Texas kind of not dysfunction, the Texas disappointment, if you will, color Anthony Hill too much. Okay, Anthony Hill's still a heck of a player. The Rams will be served very well to add him to this defense. It would really help them out up the middle.
All right, yeah, and it's funny, watching that game Thursday night, like Ernest Jones is the guy that they let go, right? And they for nothing, and he finds his way to Seattle, and he's a huge difference maker there. So, going linebacker here would certainly, like you said, be different, but Hill also big, mean, physical guy would be fun with the rest of that defensive front because that's exactly what they look for and what they already have there. Seattle, what are you gonna do for Seattle here?
Okay, I knew long ago what I was going to do for Seattle. Okay, and I don't know if you knew what I was going to do for Seattle. Um, their general manager John Schneider, who's a smart guy, and I like his work, but he doesn't always do what I want him to do. Tonight he is. We're picking up Connor Lew, center from Auburn. Okay, uh, it was nice that they drafted interior offensive line last year. That was good.
He's
They
able.
need to keep that up. Okay, now Connor Lew is not the most talented guy in the world. Don't look for him to be over here and over there and all that. But you talk about a rock up the middle and a guy that will produce the run game up the middle and hold up under pass coverage up the middle. Has unusual leverage. Is not the hugest guy in the world, but I mean he's got plenty of size for center. And you
Hmm.
talk about a guy that just push, 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 push. Drive. What's the word for it? It's not drive point, but point of attack. Right. You talk
Hmm.
about a guy that
Hmm.
just absolutely dominates, and not at some lower level. This is at the
Yeah.
Southeastern Conference, baby.
Yep.
The best defensive lineman in the world, and he is batting heads with him. He almost single-handedly won that Texas A&M game a year ago. I think they won it. It went to double overtime anyway. A&M's got talent all over the place on that defensive line, and Connor Lew is the one that freaking held up like a rock and produced that running game time after time after time. I love this for Seattle, and I hope they actually do this. They could go some other directions, but this is the one I wanted to do here.
Yeah, Lou was the guy I was thinking about for Cleveland. I
Yeah,
think that's a good pick. I like Lou. I really like his anchor as well. Like he that vertical plane, man. Whatever you want him to do on that vertical plane, he's got.
yeah,
And
right.
it's a underappreciated skill. And for Seattle, if they want to improve that run game. Like being able to do that is going to be a big deal. So I do like that pick. My pick here at Denver, I get the last pick here, pick 32. This one's mostly for you, Ben. This one's mostly for you. I never know what Sean Payton's
Thank you.
thinking. Um, there's tons of edge rushers here you could look at, but they've got defensive linemen in droves. They just took a corner in the first round last year, and he's barely even playing. So, like, we have corners on the board that are high up on these mocks and high grades and stuff, and it just doesn't feel like that's the move. They just drafted the running back. They have their quarterback. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. So like what's something here that I could do where it would actually be kind of fun and I could see him being on the field. And it's Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville. Now listen,
Okay.
I know the
Yeah.
knee injury, but the way that Sean Payton could utilize this player, um, I just want to see it.
Yeah.
He loves to have his Joker right as a tight end, and Bell's certainly not. I'm not talking about like a conversion or anything, but like he hasn't found that guy yet, and there's not a guy here that I'm going to take at 32 at tight end for them. So like, let's just get this like rock of physicality and wide receiver skill and see what happens, right? Let's get in the lab and mix it up and have some fun here. So I think Chris Bell would be a really fun pick to send Sean Payton. I know the knee injury complicates things slightly. We don't know how bad it's going to be, but again, this is also for you. I know how much you love Chris Bell, so I wanted to get him in here.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of quality wide receivers sitting here, and again, you can argue about the order. Chris Bell, I don't see him ever as a number one, and you're not suggesting that, right? He's not got that kind of a ceiling, but man, there's so much he can do, and when he does it, he is devastating. This guy might be a great fantasy pick for people next year because when he does get the ball in space somewhere, he can cash it in. So, yeah, that would that would certainly work out good in the Denver offense. Bo Nix could use that too, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, he certainly likes throwing short, so I'm sure that would be helpful. All right, so there's
Yes.
the last eight. We'll end it here on seeing the top eight again. The quarterbacks go 1, 2. Oh man, my thing's all over the place here. Quarterbacks are going to go 1, 2, Mendoza and Moore. We have those trades with the Jets and the Giants. Arvell Reese goes 7. Caleb Downs goes all the way up at 5. The Chiefs obviously make the big trade up as well to go get Carnell Tate. And then Cowboys make that trade up as well to get Ruben Bain. So a little bit of movement right there at the top, but then we kind of settled in and I think just tried to follow the board and try to be responsible here. So that's going to do it for our mock. Hope you all enjoyed mock 1.0. We will be back doing this moving forward on this channel, but make sure you're subscribed to this channel. If you're here at this point, you love the draft. Ben and I love the draft. Other hosts here at Box Score love the draft, and we will continue to have draft content for you moving forward. Player profiles, film rooms, mocks, big boards, anything you can imagine. And if there's stuff we're not doing that you want to see, comment below, man. Just send us a comment on like what you want because we can talk about the draft from any angle. So if there's something that you guys want to see or hear or whatever, you let us know and we'll make it happen. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Ben for his work on the mock. Make sure you guys check out the other videos that we are going to have around this draft right here at this time. And we'll talk to you all soon. So everybody have a good one. Thank you.